from San Aloysius College, Mangalore, and qualified UGC NET examination, also doing research on capital markets. He worked under angel broking firms, currently teaching economics and financial market at Vatsalya International, Anand, Gujarat. Dear sir, on behalf of St. Philomena's College management and IQAC and students joined in this meeting, I welcome you to this session, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Now
Thank you.
over to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the beautiful introduction, sir. Yes. So, sir has already given a good intro about the markets also. A statement which sir said that we always need to think about the long term. So here today I'm here to deal personal financial planning. Okay, so I think I'm talking to an audience of that is usually the students got it of from BCom or undergraduate students. So let's see what you can do or what you can plan about the future and what we need to do regarding money and the financial plan. Okay, students, so I'll be sharing the screen here. Yeah. Wait. Yes, here. Okay, so let's start with this personal financial planning, which I'm supposed to take up. Now, before we go into this personal financial planning, we need to know the importance of money. Okay, everyone works, everyone uh, does their living or earns their livelihood for money. Okay, many people or many quotes you might have heard that which says regarding that money is not what do you say, money, that money cannot buy happiness and all those things, but reality is completely different. Correct? If a choice is given between or to you that whether you want to earn a really good living or whether even if you are sad you would rather be sad in your villa or a home. Correct? A really good villa or in a BMW car. Got it? You wouldn't like to be sad, correct, in a what do you say, a poor house or a hut. Understood? That is how it is. So money is a very important aspect. Got it? And we need to know how money can be created in your personal financial planning. Correct? So now to know how money is done, to get money, there's a saying that to earn money you need money. Correct? So to start investing or to start about financial planning you need money. So now to how to get this money or how to get this money to start investing or to start your financial plan, what matters is that you need to start saving. Correct? Saving is the first step. Saving your money is the first step towards your financial plan. Correct? Most of us, we don't recognize this part, that of the saving part. Understood? We might, as when you guys were kids, correct, there used to be what do you say, the savings was there much, but now as you go on, as you grow up, what happens, the saving habit needs to be cultivated. So once you save money, because the money which is saved is also earned, so once you start saving money, what happens is you go towards the first step of regarding your financial plan. So usually if you see your academics, correct, if we see your academics, savings is usually defined as from our income, if we spend, correct, the expenditure which is spent from our income, that is our savings. Now usually
Neeldeep,
the
sir.
yes sir,
Sir, you are sharing PPT
yes sir, yes sir.
because it is only shows. I think you shared this one entire screen.
Okay, okay.
Just sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, 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 no, no problem, sir. Let me see this.
You go for present. Just you keep open PPT, whichever you
Okay,
are going to
yeah,
present.
is it visible? Yeah, now.
Yeah. Thank
Okay,
you, sir.
okay, okay, okay.
Sorry for
So
interrupting.
yeah, no, no problem, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Okay.
So as I was saying regarding the savings part, correct? We do savings because this savings help you for your future. The academic part, that is the in academics, the books which we study, usually it says your disposable income. That is income after you deduct your taxes, you get your disposable income. Correct. So basically, from your income, if you do expenditure, and whatever remains is your savings. This is your academics part. Most of you guys study savings in this way, and I think most of you might have done this way, that is regarding savings. But let me tell you, the savings, this the academics part which you study, that is from income, what expenditure we do, the saving what you get, is totally wrong. Correct. It is applicable in academics, but in real life what we say is that you need to first pay yourself. That is, you need to, whatever income, correct, once you guys start earning, correct, or if you are earning, what you need to do is first you need to, from your income you need to save money. Correct. And later on, after saving money, whatever is remaining, that you are supposed to spend. Correct. Most of you, if, correct, if you want to go ahead, this is the way to earn, or this is the way to live. Whatever income you get first, correct, from that you remove the savings part. Understood? The saving what you are planning to do, not later. And then whatever is remaining you are supposed to spend. If you go this way, correct, then there's gonna be a really good future for you, at least in terms of money saved and the money earned, because which money is what is saved is money is earned. Understood? So that is why, that is the way it goes. Now usually if you see your what do you say, the millionaires or the success stories from rags to riches, most of them have worked like this. Whatever the income was there, from that they are not worried about expenditure. First they save, and then they from the main they live, or they make a life out of that. Understood? So that is what is supposed to be. So that is the first step. Usually what happens nowadays, because of this social media and all, understood, what usually happens is what things what you are looking, correct, those are not the reality. You might have seen people posting pictures on Instagram, on Facebook, that they are going what do you say, they are going on a trip, or this tourism and all these things. But what is the reality is, we need to know about the savings. It looks all cool, it looks all that they are rich people and all this, correct. So those are all flashy things, but reality is how much money you have saved, or how much is your bank account. Understood? In your bank account, how much money you have saved. So the first basic rule in your life, what you need to follow, correct, if you get this habit early on to save the money. Understood? If you get this habit of to save the money at the start, it is gonna be a really bright future. Correct. At least you're gonna have a really good life. Understood? So the first step is regarding money, how you are supposed to save, and what it looks on the outside is not the same. Understood? For the rest of the people, for nowadays, because of social media and all, that is not the reality. Reality is something else, where the savings matter, the things matter, not your spendings. Correct. We are living in an age of consumerism, where most of the things, correct, most of the things, you, it is known through what do you say, consumption and through expenditure. But the reality, the real life, once you start earning, you'll come to know that it is your savings, it is your savings which is going to decide how you're going to live your life, not your expenditure, not your consumption. Correct. Let me give you an example. A person, correct, he might be having so many assets, he might be having so many assets, but what do you say, the savings might not be there. On the other hand, a person, we might not be having many assets to show it to the society, but if he is having savings in his account, correct, which no one sees really. Understood? He is the person who is actually financially planned, or he is a prudent person. Understood? So that is how it is. Let me just see this thing, where if you see the poor person, he usually does what, he earns, and that much amount he spends. So his saving is very less, or it's completely nil. As sir was saying, they think about the Saturday, that is the weekend. Understood? Not much, they don't think long term. But the rich person, if he's earning, out of that he will first save, then he will invest it also, and then he goes for spending. That is why the rich become richer and the poor stays poor. It is our own habits which makes us poor. Understood? So if you change your habits, you might be, over a long period of time you can be rich. But for the first thing what you need to do is, you need to start saving, and then from that saving, what we are supposed to do, I'll be talking about that. So the first step towards financial planning, for your personal financial planning, is savings. Understood? It is the best habit which you can cultivate at the start, at the early on in your life. Okay, so now whatever savings we do, correct, what is going to happen to that? Whatever savings we do, what is going to happen to that? Usually you keep it in your bank account. Usually you keep it in your bank account, and it earns interest, correct? Whatever money you are saved, you usually, what you do, the basic practices to keep it in the bank account. Now whenever you keep the money in your bank, correct, there is going to be interest. You're going to earn some money. That's why your parents also might have said, correct, best thing what you do, instead of keeping the cash idle, you keep it in the bank. At least you'll get some return on that, or some interest on that. Now interest rate is of two types. You have simple interest and you have compounding interest, correct? So now your simple interest, what happens is, let's say if you have saved 100 rupees, and if your simple interest, and there's, let's say, bank you have deposited and they're ready to give you 8%. So what is going to happen? The 100 rupees after 9 years, you can see the calculation. The 100 rupees after 9 years goes to 172 rupees. So you earned 72 rupees after 9 years, if you put money in the bank and they are giving you simple interest rate. But usually bank or financial what do you say, markets, they usually give you compound interest. It is one of the magic formula which actually earns you more money on your savings. You can see, if we have gone with simple interest, your 100 rupees becomes 172 rupees after 9 years. But if we take compound interest, your 100 rupees at 8% return after 9 years becomes 200 rupees. So you have doubled your money. You have doubled your money in 9 years, only because of compounding interest. That's why Einstein says that one of the best thing to learn in life is regarding compound interest. If you know this, if you know how compounding interest works, correct, you know how to multiply your wealth, because within 9 years your money has doubled with 8% interest rate. Got it? So that is how it is. So if you know compounding interest, and usually compounding interest is one magic, got it, that you get it in your financial markets, or that which you see it in financial markets. Understood? So that's why compounding interest matters a lot. Many people come and they might give you certain policies or investment advices. You need to ask whether it's simple interest or compounding interest. Correct? Once they tell you regarding compound interest, you need to have one calculation. Correct? There is something called as the rule of 72. Correct? The rule of 72, or the doubling period. The rule of 72 says that for compounding interest, if I divide, let's say that I taken an example of 8%. If I taken an example of 8% compounding interest, so if I divide 72 by 8, whatever number I'm gonna get, that many years it's gonna require to double my money. Understood? So that many years it requires to double my money. So all I have to do is, from 72 number, I have to divide the compounding interest return which I'm gonna get, and that will give me the number of years it's gonna take for my money to double. In the previous example which we have seen, 72, if I divide it by 8, it's gonna be 9 years. So within 9 years my money is gonna be double. Correct? So that is how it works. Now whenever someone comes out with your what is it, someone tells you that I have a policy, it's going to give you 6% compounding interest, it's going to give you 10% compounding interest, back of your head you should do this calculation. Correct? If someone says that it's going to give you 10% return, so you divide 72 by 10, okay, so in your head you should be like, in 7 years my money is going to be doubling. Correct? So that is why rule of 72 is required. So now we already studied, that is you know that what you need to do with your savings, you need to invest it, or you should need to put it in bank, and which gives you compounding interest. So now whatever money you have saved, you put it in bank. Correct? Now there are ways to invest it. So now why we need to go to investment? Understood? Or what is investment? Because in personal financial planning, you have the money, but you need to know what to do with your investment, or how investment works. Correct? As you might have seen that graph, you have seen this graph. From the money you're earning, then there is saving, and then there is investment. So what is this investment? Investment is usually called as the savings what are there with you. Instead of keeping it idle, you will try to achieve greater returns. Correct? And you will invest it in the for the future. So this is called as investment. So if we keep money simply idle, if we see keep money simply idle, it's not going to make any return for you. But if we invest it in the future for better returns, it's gonna multiply for you. Understood? So that's why investment is required. So first step is your income, second step is your savings, correct? And then you have to think about investment. Okay, so that is how it works. So why should one invest? Why we are talking about this investment? First one, instead of keeping your resources idle, you will get some return. Second one, why we need to invest is because we need to have a specific goal in your life, and for that you need to work. Correct? Let's say, for example, you want to do pursue or higher education. You need to start saving now and you need to start investing now so that your goal of higher education can be met. Understood? Many of you might know that your parents might have worked really hard to have their goal of their own house. Is it not? They might have worked really hard to have their own goal of their own to own a house. For this they have worked and they have invested. Correct? So there was a plan, proper plan was there, and then they worked for it. Understood? For any goal to achieve in life, for any goal to achieve in life, you need to first earn, then you need to make savings, and then you need to invest for to achieve that goal. Understood? So that is the second one. First, any specific goal, it could be your marriage, it could be your higher education, it could be your owning a house, to own a car, bike, whatever is there. For that particular goal, you need to start making savings and investment from now on. That's why only then you will achieve your return. Understood? And finally, why you need to invest is to make provision for uncertain future. This is the thing where we are right now. Correct? Uncertain future. Many of you, if you have got three times meal a day in this time of corona, because of this lockdown, it is only because of your savings. You can ask your parents. Correct? Those who are working, they might know. Understood? Your students, you can ask your parents. They'll tell you today, if you are there, if you are able to have a good life in this difficult time, of corona, correct, of this covid, and in this during a lockdown when people might have lost the jobs and all, you know how they have survived? Only because of their savings. So to make provision for the uncertain future, you never know when a next what do you say, like this disease, or let's say a war, when any it can start anytime. So you need to make provision for the uncertain future. So for that you need to start investing now itself. Got it? So that is why you need to invest instead of keeping your resources idle. You need to achieve your goals, and then for uncertain future, which we don't know what is gonna be. Correct? So for that you need to make savings right now itself, and you need to invest it so that when this uncertainty hits you, you can at least, the money which have earned on your investment, correct, the returns what you got on your investment, at least can help you it like a cushion. It can help you like a cushion. So now we know money, what you got, savings, and we have to come to investment. So before we directly jump to investment, correct, how it works and all these things, what we need to know in personal financial planning, a very important concept regarding inflation. Correct? So this inflation you might have seen in newspapers, you might have seen in what do you say, television debates. Correct? They always speak about this regarding this inflation. What is this inflation? Inflation is the rate at which cost of living increases. Correct? Usually your cost of living over a period of time, it increases, and the reason is your inflation. Let me give you an example. If you have asked your grandparents or your parents, correct, for that matter, around 20 years back or 15 years back, correct, they wouldn't have to spend so much for 100 rupees. Correct? For 100 rupees around 30 years back, you might have got a whole ration for your month. For a month ration could have got for 100 rupees. But today, is it possible? Is it possible? I don't think so. It's not possible for 100 rupees to get the whole ration for the month. Understood? The reason being what? Because of inflation. Because it costs you more now to live in today's age, and it costs, why? Because of inflation. Because the prices keep on rising. The prices keep on rising. That's why you might have seen people, those who were working earlier, your parents, correct, if they joined the service, if if someone has joined the service around 10 years, 15 years back, their salary may have been low, but they were able to live a good life. Reason being, there was very less inflation at that time. But today, inflation goes, or it is increasing, correct? So that's why, even if today if you have high income, the cost is also more, and it takes, correct, it takes lots of money, correct, to buy certain things. Before, it used to take that much. Understood? So this is the reason of inflation. And what happens in inflation? Your value of money, value of money goes down, correct? The prices increase, value of money goes down, so you have to pay more. You have to pay more to buy certain things. So this is regarding inflation. See, over the years, you can see the graph there. Over the years, see how inflation has been increasing, correct? On average, from 2005 to 2019 data I have, correct, if you see, on an average, we have an inflation of around 5 to 6%. In India, you can take inflation at around 5 to 6%, correct? And it keeps changing, correct? And sometimes, if because of uncertainties and all, like as of today, correct, because of this lockdown, corona and all, correct, what's going to happen? Inflation is going to be even more. Understood? You already know the prices of vegetables, how things are going. So understood. So in India, on an average, you need to know inflation is around 5 to 6%, correct? So that is how it is over the years, as you can see the inflation. So now, why did I speak about this inflation? Because we need to know about real rate of return. Because we need to know about real rate of return. Now, what is real rate of return? Whatever return you are getting, whatever interest rate you are getting, or the return you are getting on your investment, that is the resources which you have kept it for the future and which you have invested, correct? Whatever return is there, from that you are supposed to minus the inflation rate, and then you need to check what is the real return. Understood? So this part usually people don't know about it, or usually people don't take into consideration, that is the inflation. Now let's say, for example, in India, inflation rate is 6%, correct? I've told you, on an average, let me say annual inflation is around 6%. Someone tells you that I'm going to give you return of around 5%. I don't think you're making money, because 5 minus 6 is minus 1. You are actually losing money. Same thing happens if you are putting your money in the bank, correct, which gives you around maximum, max to max, you might get around 4% return. You're not making any money over a period of time. You're losing money, because 6% is, let's say, if your inflation rate, or let's take even 5%, and your bank return or interest on bank account, what you put there, correct, money what you saved and what you put it in bank account, and that gives you around 5% return, correct, you are actually losing money. It's minus 1 because of inflation. So one another point which you need to target in your personal finance, whenever you are making investment, please minus the inflation rate what is going, and then you need to check how much is your real return. How much is your real return? We need to beat inflation. You need to do investments in such a way that you have to beat inflation, correct? If you can beat inflation, only then your investments are working, or else you are losing money, you're not making any money. Many people, correct, many time, many policy people, correct, they might come to you and they might say, we are going to give you 5% compound annual rate, 6% compound annual rate. You should know by the talk itself that we are not making any money if inflation rate is 5% or 6%. Understood? So you are actually losing money. So what we need to do is you need to, whenever someone comes out with a plan in front of you, you need to minus the inflation rate, and then you need to get the real rate of return. And if it's in positive, you need to start investing. Correct? You can at least accept that that plan is better for you if it's beating inflation. So this is your second aim. Next aim. So first, again, as I said, savings. That's why I have to keep repeating. Savings is the first crucial step which you need to take. Then is your investment. In investment, what you need to do is you need to get returns in such a way that it beats inflation. Correct? So that is why the reason being, many people might have told you, your parents or your relatives, that they are saving from a longer period of time, but their savings today, as of today, it does not account to much. Reason being is your inflation, because they never try to beat inflation. So this thing should be there in your mind. See, that's why inflation is required. See, today's 1 lakh rupees. Today's 1 lakh rupees, if inflation is 6%, after 2 years, the value of this 1 lakh you can buy worth goods of only worth of 88,000. After 5 years, 73,000. If you go down the line, after 20 years, the value of 1 lakh is somewhere close to be only 30,000. This is what it means. That is, usually your inflation removes the your purchasing power and the value of money goes down. This is why inflation matters. Correct? So you need to always try to beat inflation. So around 20 years down the line, your 1 lakh is not going to be such a big amount. Everyone might be having that because the value is only going to be around 30,000. Okay, so next step. So when shall we start investing? What is the right age of investment? What is the right age of investment? As soon as possible. This is the perfect time to invest. That is, as soon as possible. Once you start earning or once you start saving, correct, then it's the best time to invest as early as possible. Correct. Now, why I'm saying this early part, someone asked Warren Buffett, one of the person, the richest person, they asked him, sir, when do you think is the best time to invest or what's it? He told that he started investing. That is, Warren Buffett started investing at the age of 11 years. Imagine, at the age of 11 years he started investing, and he was saying I was even late by then. So at the age of 11 years he was starting investing, and he was thinking it's late. Correct? Because it matters. The earlier you invest, the better it is for you. So the three golden rules for investments are: invest early, correct, as early as possible, especially after once you get your what is the savings, right? Understood. Now, why early? Because compounding interest increases your income. You will be getting your compounding interest, money will be, the returns will start coming, correct, at least the compoundedly. So that's why you need to start investment early. Second one, you need to start regularly. Investment should be regular. It's not like, I feel many of you might have seen, because of this tough time during this lockdown and all, many people might have stopped investing. Correct? Many people, because of income and all also. But the people, those who didn't stop investing, the people those who didn't stop investing even during this tough time, they will be earning a lot of money in the future, because investment regularly is also important. And finally, you need to invest for long term, not short term. Correct? There are no quick, what do you say, a quick dish, correct, get rich quick scheme. It does not work. You need to always invest for long term. So invest early, invest regularly, invest for long term. So now, why am I saying about investing early? Why you are saying about investing early? See, there is an example given. Let's say a person A, he starts investing at the age of 20. He has an initial investment of 2000 rupees, correct, and every month he's going to invest 2000 rupees. Now let's say he's investing in a good mutual fund, giving you around 10% return, correct, annual return. On an average they are giving you 10% return. After 60 years, the person who started investing at the age of 20 is going to make around 1.3 crore, 1.13 crores, so around close to 1 crores. See, being crorepati is not a big thing. All you need is start to invest at least 2000 rupees, correct, per month. Understood? 2000 rupees, you might be spending more than 2000 rupees, but this is how it is, correct? If you invest and if you save, this is what it makes. So after 60 years, he's going to earn around 1 crore. Let's say a person starts to invest 5 years later at the age of 25. Same amount, same monthly investment of 2000, and he has a return on 10%. He's also getting the same return. But after 60 years, he's gonna have around 70 lakhs. Correct? So there's a difference of around 30 or 40 lakhs. Just 5 years, difference of 5 years. Correct? One person started early and the other person started 5 years late. You can see the difference it makes. So invest as early as possible. Invest once you start earning, correct, and once you have the savings in place. So this is what it is, correct. That's why you need to start investing early. It makes a lot of difference over a long period of time. So now we know about investment, how we need to start, and all these things. What are the things you need to take care while investing? There are many things which we need to take care while investing. You might have seen a mutual fund ad, correct, mutual fund ad. It says, what does it say? Read the offer documents very carefully. Mutual funds are subjected to market risk, is it not? Why they are saying that? It matters. There are certain things, 12 important things which you need to take care before making any investment. The first thing you need to obtain for your financial plan, correct, when you are making investments, you need to obtain the written documents, correct, which explains the investment scheme. Understood? You need to understand these documents, and you need to verify the legitimacy of these investment documents. This is why they always say read the offer documents carefully, because once you know and once you see the legitimacy of the investment, only then you can invest. If someone comes to you and says that I'm going to give you a really high return, you please invest in my, what is it, some chit fund or something like that, correct, you need to ask the documents, you need to check the legitimacy, you need to verify the documents, you need to see whether it is coming from proper channel or not, whether SEBI, whether RBI, whether government, correct, are they registered organization, correct, or whether they are giving you proper returns, they are giving you in writing. All these things are required. So three basic things that you need to do. Next, you need to check your cost and benefit associated with your investment. The cost and benefit being, well, sometimes it takes money, correct, for your application process, for your initial amount, for all these things money is required, cost is there. Only then you can get the return, or one only then you can enter into investment. So even that money you need to recover, correct. So that you need to do cost and benefit. Usually your benefit should be more than your cost. And then you need to assess the risk and the return, risk and the return profile of the investment. Always remember, in investment, correct, in markets, higher the risk, higher the return, correct. Moderate the risk, moderate the return. Lower the risk, lower the return. You have very less risk in your savings account, savings bank account, but return is also very less. Understood? You have, let's say, fixed deposit, or let's say PPF and all, you have high return, correct, it's safe, correct, but you cannot, liquidity might not be there. Understood? And some highly risky trades, derivatives, options and all, there are many such instruments available, but those are very very risky also, they might give you high return. So you need to see, our aim over the long period of time is to beat inflation and to get real return. So we need to expect moderate return, enough. Moderate risk we can take, moderate return we can take. So these are the steps. Then you need to know about liquidity. Liquidity basically, in accounts, correct, in accounting language, liquidity means how can we convert an asset into cash. Understood? If you see, for example, if we take real estate, real estate is not that liquid. That might give you return, but it's not liquid. You cannot buy today a land and tomorrow you can sell. No. To buy land itself, it might take around 1 month of that much of procedure is there. Then to sell also, that much of procedure is there, correct. For shares and all, around 2 days of trading is required, correct, for money to enter in your bank account, correct. So that is how it is. So liquidity also you need to see, and safety aspect also you need to see for your investment. Then you need to ascertain if it maintains your goals, can be achieved or not. You need to compare your investment opportunities about other investment. That's why there's one beautiful website, I guess, Policy Bazaar, where it compares various policies and it tells you whether this particular investment is better than not. If you are getting a same kind of investment at a better rate, at a lesser cost, you always go for that. Then you will examine whether investments you're considering have a, what do you say, you already made, if it fits your investment, you go through an authorized channel, authorized persons only you go. Then you go ahead and then you clarify if there are any doubts. If you're not satisfied, don't invest, correct, with the people. You need to take care of all these points, only then you need to think about investing. So these are the 12 important things which you need to know regarding investment. Please know this, it should be through an authorized intermediary only. Any person coming to you and saying, I have this policy, please start investing in my policy, you need to check that person. You need to check whether he is an authorized person, whether he is an authorized intermediary, correct, and whether he's working in a particular firm. And based on this, your investment works. Understood? So that is what it is required. Let's go ahead let's go ahead. Now we shall see what are the various options available to you for your investment. So you have planned, correct, you have done your savings, you have seen your investments and how you need to invest. Let's see, because in a brief I'm planning to tell you. So now you have entered the hotel. It's like you enter the hotel, you have chosen the hotel, everything is done. Now you need to see in the menu what and all items are there. Correct. Same way we need to see what are the various options available for your investment. Now basically we divide into two: physical assets and your financial assets. In physical assets you have real estate, gold, and there are certain commodities, stamps and all like that. And financial assets, you have your savings account, insurance, pension funds, shares, bond, debentures, mutual funds, and all such things. Correct. So these are the two ways. These many items are available in your menu to invest. Correct. So now we need to see which fits your investment criteria or which fits your investment goal. Correct. So I will show you a graph which can at least tell you, if you start investing early, which are the things at least are gonna beat inflation. Which are gonna things which are gonna beat inflation. I hope you can see this graph. Correct. Average returns over the last decade of these various investments. Savings account on an average gives you 4%, insurance plans around 5.5%, fixed deposits around 6%, NPS, National Pension Scheme and all, EPF, PPF around 8%, real estate, gold around 9%, and finally equity or mutual fund, correct, or stocks, they give you around 12.5%. Your rule is, as I told you, you have to beat inflation. When your inflation is around 4 to 5% or 5 to 6%, you can see, to make money in the long period, only things after fixed deposits, NPS, real estate, gold, debt, and mutual funds or stock are the only ones which beat inflation and they give you higher return. So these are the areas you can target. You have to target to get a higher return in the future. Understood? Best, if you see over a period of time, long period of time, always stocks or mutual funds, they always beat, correct, inflation, and they give you really high return. They give you a really good return, correct, and they beat the inflation also. Understood? If you want to play safe, your gold. Right now, if you have seen gold, correct, 9% annual CAGR rate, it's a huge amount. Okay. You might have seen your parents purchasing gold if they've invested. That is a really good thing. They might have helped you. Today, if you see the gold prices, really high. Understood? So it has given a really good return. Real estate, fixed deposits, and that's how the thing goes. Correct? So if you can see, you already know which are the things you need to target, especially after your fixed deposits, PPF, real estate, gold, debt, and mutual funds or stocks. These are the ones which can give you better return and they can beat inflation. Understood? So we have seen what are the areas where you need to invest and how you need to invest. So how can you go ahead with investment? Correct. Or when to start in these places which I told you just now, that is regarding gold, real estate, or mutual funds and all these things. See, first thing what you need to do is, you need to make sure you are having savings of at least 6 months. At least 6 months of expenses are saved first. Understood? This is the first basic rule. But you need to save at least 6 months of emergency funds, 6 months of expenses. Many people, if they've done that, they might not have been suffered during this COVID time. Understood? That's why this is required. Second, if there is, after 5 years or in the next 5 years, if there's a huge amount of cash you require, let's say to purchase a house for your marriage and all, understood, for education and all, then you need to start saving for that. Understood? After you have made these two funds, that is the emergency fund and the savings if it's required for large purpose, and then you need to think about investment. Correct. After you have made provision for the first two. Understood? And then if you have the money, correct, after leaving these both, you need to start investing. Correct. You need to start investing. I have put up some public sector uh, account, savings bank account, which gives you a good rate of return. Correct. I've not put a private might give you, but to be on safer side, where you can save money. Correct. These are the certain banks, that is your central bank, your Canara Bank, correct, IDBI, which gives you a good rate of return. Correct. You might not be beating inflation, but if you are planning for liquidity, correct, and if you are planning to work or go ahead, you need to keep it certain purchases. Your purchase which is gonna be coming in 5 years or emergency fund, you can keep in this. Correct. And then after keeping these two provisions, I told you, right, the first two provisions, that is your emergency fund, and if a big purchase is coming, you can keep it in bank account, correct, or at least for fixed deposit. You cannot even break the fixed deposit, so you can keep it and you can earn some interest. And then you need to think about investment. Okay, one thing, next part, we'll go ahead with regard to the savings part and the investment and all. We have seen how it works. So regarding investment, one thing which everyone can start, correct, everyone can start at least after graduation is completed. Everyone can start, and if you are having some side income from tuitions and all, you can start. That is through systematic investment planning. That is through sip. It is called as systematic investment planning. So now this systematic investment planning is basically done in your mutual funds. Is basically done in a mutual funds. I'll tell you how mutual fund works. See, if I need to purchase today a share of let's say mrf company, I think it's around 70,000. One share is around 70,000, correct. It's really high for me. I cannot even enter the markets. I cannot even buy that share. Understood? Or let's say if I want to purchase a share of what do you say, Maruti Suzuki, it's around 6,500 or so. So even that's a big amount for me. So what shall I do? What shall I do? So the people, those who don't have money, correct, but they're having some money which they can keep it aside every month for investment. For them, this is the best thing what you can do, correct. That is through mutual fund investment, correct. Mutual fund investment. Here, usually your mutual fund investments, over a period of time, over a long period of time, it always gives you around 8 or 10% of return, correct. So mutual fund, basically what they do, they collect money from you. Every month a small amount is collected from you. So like you, there are so many people, everyone will contribute every month certain small amount, and they will they'll invest in capital markets. That is both your stock market as well as your debt markets, correct, bond market. In both of them they will invest. Understood? So what these people do is they'll collect so many money from you guys. It will pool the funds from you people, correct. Every month it will pool the funds from you people, and then they will invest. Got it? So a person, let's say a person, I don't know how stock market works, correct, but I know I have some savings, I have some investments, correct, and I know that if I invest in mutual fund for a long period of time, correct, I'm beating inflation. But I don't know how the stock market works. I don't even have that much time. The best thing what you can do is you can invest in mutual fund, because mutual funds are having managers there who will invest for you, and they'll make sure that you guys get the return. Understood? So that's how it is. So now let's say a 5,000 rupees, you make an investment every month. You are spending 5,000 rupees, not spending, sorry, you're investing 5,000 rupees in a mutual fund scheme, correct. When you go to mutual fund office, there will be so many. Okay. And I recommend this only once you start earning or after your graduation. Understood? So now let's say this 5,000, you will be getting so many different ways of funds, and every fund they'll tell you what is the return over a period of time. So now let's say this 5,000 you have got. Understood? This 5,000 rupees which you have got, and you have invested over a long period of time. Every month you have invested, correct. Over a period of time, you can see in 10 years you might have invested around 6 lakhs, because 5,000 you have invested every month, right? 6 lakhs, it will give a return of close to, yes, 10 lakh rupees. After 15 years, after 20 years, after 30 years, see, you might have invested around 18 lakhs, but you have got return up to 1 crore. If you go further, correct, at the age of 40, if we are taking a 10% return, correct, you can see annual, around 40 years, if you have invested regularly, if you have started investing early, correct, just basic amount of 5,000, after 40 years is going to be around 3.2 crores, correct. So you invested around 25 lakhs, but it gives you return of around 3.2 crores. This is the magic of compounding interest: investing early, investing regularly, and investing for long term, not short term. Understood? So this is how invest mutual funds work. And you can see inflation adjusted. Even if inflation is, we are taking around 6%, you can see we are beating inflation, and if inflation adjusted, this is the amount. Understood? So that is what it is. You're beating inflation also, and over the time you're even making profits. So best thing what you can do, because that's how investment work. They give you a small pie of a bigger pizza. Understood? They will take money. Mutual funds, they take money from everyone and then they invest in the market. It is their headache. You don't. You just have to pay money. They will take care. But over a long period of time, not within 2 years, 3 years, no. Over a long period of time, minimum 15, 20 years, if you invest it regularly, you're gonna make returns. So this thing which can be started for your personal finance, correct? uh, After you have made an emergency fund, in savings for an emergency fund, after you have made savings for your big purchase which is coming up, then if your money investment, you can go ahead with a mutual fund plan over a long period of time. Correct? So this is what can be done. Next, what we need to know, so there are certain rules which you cannot break in your personal investment. There are certain rules which you cannot break in your personal investment. That is first one: never borrow money to invest. No. Correct? Many people, if you borrow money from certain thing and then you try to invest thinking that market will give me better return, I have to just pay an interest of 3 or 4%, market will give me return of around 7 to 10%, I'll make some money. That is not going to work, because investments are subjected to market risk. Correct? Anytime market can fall, anytime market can go up. Over a long period of time, it always gives you return. So never borrow money to invest. Correct? You need to make investments from your saving only. Second, we have already discussed, the best time to invest is now. Correct? Best time to as early as possible. Third one, never let your emotions play a role. Correct? Many a times, because of greed, because of fear, either you'll make more investments or you'll come out of investments. Best example I can give you right now. If you see the markets, if you see the stock markets today, they are at all time high. They are at all time high. uh, but if you have seen around 6 months back, 6 months back, correct, uh, markets were tanking, markets were going down like anything. Understood? And during this time, many people, because emotions came into play, right, they sold the money, they stopped their SIP, they stopped their investment, thinking we are never gonna come out of this corona market, I'm losing money, all these things, and they stopped their investments and they stopped their running. So what happened today? You can see markets are at all time high. If you had just switched to your regular investments, and if you didn't let your emotions play, your greed or fear play into your investments, you would have made money, or you would have been saved. Understood? So never let your emotions play. Correct? You keep investing, you keep regularly investing. Correct? The small amount also shall do, no problem. Try to beat the market, that's more than enough. But never, because of scared, correct, because of fear, never stop investing, stop your SIPs. Then fourth one, stop trying to get rich quick. No one has got rich, correct, very quickly within 2 3 years, 4 years. No. If it is done, it is usually by some other means. Warren Buffett, the person, correct, he earned most of his money in his which he is today. Most of his money what he has earned, it is after the age of 50 years. So he had patience to wait, put your investments for 50 years. That's why Warren Buffett is Warren Buffett. People say that there's never going to be second Warren Buffett, because who's going to have patience of around 50 years? Understood? So don't try to get rich quickly. Never chase the trend, precede it. Correct? There are certain trends, no? Certain trends in the markets, correct? Don't try to run behind that. Understood? You keep your investments regularly. Do your own research before investing. Correct? Don't be dependent on the intermediary, the policy person. No. You do your own research, you see how the things are there, then you invest it. Correct? Keep track of your budget. Understood? Now, whenever if there is certain purchase coming in, you need to know which fund is liquid, which I can encash it. Understood? And keep track of your budget, because sometimes some what do you say, anytime an emergency might come in and you might need money. Understood? So keep tracking of that and keep saving for that also. And finally, never forget the first 7 rules. Okay? So usually, even if you're starting slow, let me tell you, even if you're starting slow to for investing, correct, as your income increases in the future, you can start investing also more, after keeping aside the funds of 6 months emergency funds and 6 months of purchase. Understood? And then you can start investing, and you can invest more and more. Correct? But keeping aside the savings, and that's how it is. So as your income increases, your investments also should increase. So over a period of time, you can be, what do you say, there's something called as fire. FIRE, financial independence, and retire early. Okay, so fire, what I'm saying is financial independence and retire early. What's going to happen is, if you invest very regularly, planly, you can retire at the early age and you can enjoy your life. Enjoy in the sense you can do what you like. Understood? But for that, at the start, you need to work, you need to do savings, and then you need to invest. Okay, so that is what you need to know regarding this. Okay, so this is where I complete my what do you say, the seminar. Yes, sir. Sunil sir, are you there, sir? Yes, if there are any questions, I can take up. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is Ronald Prakash Kutino here, the IQAC
Okay.
coordinator.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. The topic was very fantastic, and the way you explained the simple intricacies of the basic personal financial planning, especially this to the students, from the basic concept of inflation and how they should start now only thinking about at the age of around 20 and make plans for investment. It was really uh, worth, and these are all some small things that we are from various aspects taking into consideration the holistic development of students. We have considered this also as an important topic and important skill that they should imbibe. Not just only commerce and management students should understand about inflation, it's also about the other stream students also should know. So it was very interesting, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and personally to me also at this age also there were a lot many things that I also can learn from this the presentations that you have made, especially nowadays it's about the mutual funds and other
Exactly.
investments which are quite on the longer term gets benefited, because we hear from lot of news and various reports where people taking extreme step because of financial losses.
Yes. Yes.
So ethically, how a student or a citizen of this country can just make his plan in the initial stage itself, so that his life will be more ethical, more holistic, and he can lead a peaceful life. So that's various aspects of this one you have shared. And we are just getting the live chat from the students thanking you
Thank
for
you.
the sessions that you have handled. They also mentioned that it was quite informative. So they have all thanked you, sir, very
Thank you, sir.
much.
Thank you,
So,
students. Thank you. Yeah.
and again, on behalf of St. Philomena's College and on behalf of IQAC, that is Internal Quality Assurance Cell, we thank you, sir,
Yes.
that you have been a very wonderful resource person to us. And we look forward for more cooperation regarding the same topic in
Yes.
the later stages also, sir.
Yes.
So
Yes, sir.
thank you very much. We
Thank you, sir.
appreciate your
Thank you, sir.
knowledge sharing. We appreciate
Yes.
that. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Now, dear students, we will another a short 1 or 2 minutes break. We will be joining to another important session. Be online. So welcome back, dear students. When we look at the skills of various aspects, various soft skills towards a holistic development of the student, one of the important skill is your communication skills. your speaking skills, public speaking, and the way you articulate your thoughts and you make others to understand, whether it is informative or whether it is in group discussion or whether it is in a platform oriented talk. What all the aspects you should take into consideration regarding this? It's an important skill. So the art of articulation, what you in mind, is an important thing that every student should know. So to handle this second session today, we have an important expert and a great orator herself, Dr. Malini Hebbar, retired associate professor from St. Agnes College, Autonomous College from Mangalore. She is joined to give you her knowledge and thought regarding this topic. So, on behalf of St. Philomena's College and on behalf of IQAC, I wholeheartedly welcome Dr. Malini Hebbar to this session. Before I ask her to join, let me introduce briefly about Dr. Malini Hebbar. As I mentioned, Dr. Malini Hebbar is the retired faculty. She retired as Associate Professor of English at St. Agnes College, Mangalore. She is an MA, MPhil, and PhD holder in English literature. She has done her additional certificate courses also in journalism and HRD. She is also the former faculty of IMS, Time, and Trisha, which trains students for competitive exams. She is also a member of the Research Ethics Committee of Kasturba Medical College and also member of Anti-Sexual Harassment and Women's Grievance Cell of Nitte University, Mangalore. She is also a member of Toastmasters International Indian Society for Training and Development, Innerwheel, and Samatha. She is the staff coordinator of the centenary celebration of St. Agnes College also. Madam also took up responsible positions like coordinator of Internal Quality Assurance Cell, NAC of St. Agnes College, and former member of the IQAC of Father Muller Nursing Institute and School of Social Work. She's also the former BOS member of SDM Ujire, St. Aloysius College, and School of Social Work. She has won a lot of awards, being the Distinguished Toastmaster Award, the highest award in the area of public speaking and leadership, which was earned by Professor Malini Hebbar 3 times. She's also a member of Rotaract and UNESCO. And she was the best Master of Ceremony in the Lions International Inner Wheel Club competitions also. Madam also has published a lot of subject or domain-oriented publications and paper presentations. In addition to that, she has also worked for a publication called Vista, a textbook which is published by the Cambridge University Press. She also edited and contributed to more than 4 volumes of Eco Research. It's a multidisciplinary journal brought out by St. Agnes College. She is involved in a lot many other activities also. Her profile is very long. But Madam is quite obliging. We have seen from our own eyes the way she conducts the formal, any kind of a program where dignitaries are involved. Our master of skill is very of highest order. Madam, it's privilege for St. Philomena's College students that you have joined to this online session. So again, I thank you for joining and giving your knowledge and thought for our students. Now it's over to you, Madam.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ronald Prakash. What we have in common is, I think, IQAC. I am the former coordinator of IQAC, and you are the coordinator of IQAC. And both of us belong to the teaching line, as library is an integral part of it. Thank you for your faith in me, and thank you to the principal and management of St. Philomena College, Mysore, for this opportunity. Now, even as the physical boundaries have crashed and we are able to come together on the virtual platform, I'm sitting in Mangalore, but I'm addressing students of St. Philomena's College, Mysore. So this is astounding indeed. But of course, probably I would have been gladder to have all the students in front of me to interact with them in a live offline session, which is not possible. But let's be thankful to God that we at least have technology that comes to our aid and that keeps us together, if not in the physical world, at least in the virtual world. It's Wordsworth who said it's great to be young anywhere in the world, but I must say that it's great to be with the young anywhere in the world. And today I have the opportunity of being with the young, and I'm sure it's going to be an enjoyable experience for me. And I hope it will be, if not an equally enjoyable experience, but at least to some extent an enjoyable experience to all of you, my dear students. Let me now start sharing my screen. As announced by the coordinator, I have taken the topic, the art of articulation. May I know from the technical support whether my screen is visible? Is my screen visible? May I know from the technical support?
Yes, madam, it is visible.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. Okay. So, as all of you know, the title of my presentation is The Art of Articulation. Now, the minute we use the word articulation, the dictionary meaning would be the way in which you pronounce words or produce sounds. But let me tell you, dear students, that's not going to be my focus this morning, because that I feel is one of the aspects of a bigger picture. And the bigger picture is how to become an articulate speaker. So my focus this morning would be more on how to become an effective public speaker, not necessarily so much on pronunciation or production of sounds, although one bit of my presentation will cover that as well. Now, unfortunately for me, as I've already said, you're not in front of me and I'm not able to conduct activities which would make learning an experiential feat for all of you, but then we are not able to do that. Now, if you get involved, as shown by Edgar Dale's cone of learning, 90% of what we say and do is what we remember. Now, we remember only 10% of what we read after 2 weeks, and it goes on like that. 20% of what we hear, 30% of what we see. But you see, 90% of what we say and do, we remember. But I'm not able to make you do things on the virtual platform for two reasons. One is that we have the time constraint. One more is that it's not really very effective to conduct activities on the virtual platform. Nevertheless, whenever I have a question for you, the question itself would be a rhetorical question, because I wouldn't expect any one of you to come up with answers, not even on the chat box. But I want each of you to be mentally alert whenever there is a question posed by me. And I request you to think of an answer before I myself give you the answer, so that I have the pleasure of knowing that you are with me. With that small introduction, let me now move on. Now, you see, I have juxtaposed not two, but three pictures. You have the picture of a swimmer, you have a picture of a cyclist, and you have the picture of a mic. Now, Why do you think I have these three pictures placed one after the other? After giving you a few seconds for an answer, let me tell you that, like swimming and cycling, public speaking is also a skill. None of us is born a public speaker. All of us become public speakers because it is a skill. It is not an inborn trait of a genius. It's a skill. So we need to practice. If we have to be good public speakers, we need to be practiced. No swimmer will say that I will just jump into the swimming pool and I will start swimming. No cyclist can say that I will have balance, good balance the minute I sit on the cycle. It's not possible. So we need to practice. Likewise, public speaking is also a skill. And this skill can be effective only when we have the will to improve ourselves. As the famous saying goes, skill is nil without will. So the very fact that your college has organized various activities for you in order to ensure your holistic development, those of you who have logged in show that you have the will to improve yourselves, and those of you who have logged in and are also mentally alert are the ones who will reach the highest echelon on the rung of success. Take it from me, because it is always your attitude that makes all the difference in life. Now, when it comes to public speaking, we basically speak about 3 V's, and I've put it on the screen for you: visual, vocal, verbal. And probably some of you will be surprised to know that the impact of a speaker depends only to 7% on the verbal input, 38% on the vocal variety, and 55% on the visual aspect, which means you have a ratio of 93 against 7. That is 93% of non-verbal and only 7% of verbal. Now, this is a stunning revelation, of course, and Mehrabian was the one who came up with this particular ratio of the 3 V's. Body language constitutes, that is visual, body language constitutes 55% of the impact, and 38% of the impact is on the tone of our voice, and 7% is on the actual words. So you see, as we say, more than what we say, how we say a thing is of utmost importance. Now, of course, please don't have the wrong idea that we can speak nonsense and make up for that nonsense with our body language or voice modulation. That's not the point. The point is that your text is there with you, yes, but however effective your text might be, or however powerful, potent the written words might be, unless you complement those written words with the tonal variation and the body language, your impact, effectiveness as a public speaker will not reach the desirable 100% of impact. That is what Mehrabian means when he talks about the 3 V's and 93 pitted against 7%. Now, Noah Zanden, the CEO of Quantified Communications, came up with the 4th V. For a long time in the arena of public speaking, we used to talk only about Mehrabian's 3 V's. But Noah Zanden has come up with the 4th V. And he talks about the authenticity. The authenticity. I'll come to that later. But Noah Zanden also talks about 83% of human learning occurring through sight. That is why you see, Mehrabian also has given 90, probably 55%, I should say, on the body language. Now, when it comes to body language, we have these 5 arms of body language: eye contact, posture, head position, arms, and legs. Of course, I'm not going to deal with each of these in a detailed manner. This is only expository in nature. But let me just talk about a few salient features of these aspects of body language. Now, Cicero, the Roman philosopher, came up with this idea that the eyes are the mirror of the soul. So it's very important that we make this eye contact. Now, of course, when we are online, probably I'm making an eye contact only with my slides. But let's hope that this situation will not last for a long time and we will be back in the physical world, back in the usual circumstances where we talk about the importance of eye contact. Now, the effectiveness of a person, actually, not necessarily a public speaker, a person depends a lot on the eye contact. Are we at ease when we make an eye contact? Of course, many of us have problems even when it comes to interpersonal relation, even when we are not on the platform, even when we are not speaking into the mic, we have problems with eye contacts. That's another area. I'm not going to touch upon that. I'm going to talk about eye contact in terms of public speaking. Many of us have problems there also. So many of us tend to look at one point in a very stock manner, fixed manner, so much so that the audience gets disturbed with this kind of focused viewing of the audience. So we need to have eye contact with all parts of the audience. Now, sometimes it's difficult because you may have among the audience one or two who disturb you so much because they may have signs of distraction, they may have signs of boredom. So it's very difficult for you to make an eye contact with those people. You start getting uneasy, in which case, when it comes to eye contact, they talk about the Z rule. Now, you give the impression that you are looking at all, but you needn't necessarily be looking at all. But you can make the movement in this manner: upper left, upper right, lower left, lower right, so that your audience gets the feeling that you are looking at each one among the audience. So eye contact is very important. But if there is another session, we can even discuss how eye contact is necessary even when we speak to one another, even if it is not on the platform. Now, posture is equally important. It's self-explanatory. I have shown you what posture is right and what posture is not right. Now, you see the first posture where I've put the cross marks to show it is not the right posture is because the girl has this slouch. And the last one where I've put the boy is standing what we call akimbo with the arms on the hips, because this posture is not considered to be the right posture because it speaks of defiance. But I would like to focus more on what I've put as closed and open. Now, closed and open actually refer to the position of the palms. Open palms. You see, when your palms are open, we call it palm up position. And they say that when the speaker has the palm up position instead of palm down position, when the speaker has the palm up position, the speaker instantaneously develops a rapport with the audience, because when the speaker has palm down posture or closed palm posture, closed shows some kind of reservation. Palm down posture shows that the speaker has a condescending attitude towards the listeners. That is why palm up posture is important when you take a mic, go to the stage and speak to an audience. Now, let's always remember, of course, for some time, Darwin's theory of evolution had become controversial, debatable, but whatever it is, let's remember that as human beings, we need to have a posture that is straight, that speaks of self-confidence and not diffidence. So if at all one of your friends tells you, why do you hunch? Don't get annoyed. Don't think that your friend is unnecessarily criticizing you. Please take it as constructive criticism and learn ways and means with which you can avoid the hunch that you perhaps have. The most important point is that many of us are unwilling to take constructive criticism. Now, smile. As the saying goes, a smile goes a long way because it has a mile in it. And I, for one, sincerely feel that we should not reserve our smiles as though we have to pay for our smiles. We should be happy to smile and create a bond with our audience, because, you know, as short a period as 7 seconds, as short a period as 7 seconds can create 11 unconscious in the sense it happens at the subconscious level, 11 impressions of a person. So what is it that you can do in 7 seconds if you have to create a positive first impression? You can easily do it with a smile. So I, for one, would tell you to put your smile to test and to see whether you have a smile which shows warmth, or some of us have twitching of the lips and we call it a smile. So smiling is also an art. Yes, and please remember, only human beings, of all the creations of God, only human beings have the ability to smile. So isn't it a gift of God for all of us? Why should we spurn such a beautiful gift that God has given us? I, for one, always appreciate Indian aesthetics, Indian dance forms, Indian art forms, and I always think of Bharatanatyam as a greatest communicator, as the greatest communicator, not a greatest, the greatest communicator. Because you see, Bharatanatyam gives you the proper posture with your gestures, hand movement, limb movement. It makes you an effective communicator. But more importantly, and now that we are on virtual platform, the facial expressions. Facial expressions now more than ever have gained a lot of importance, because you can see the speaker from close quarters, right? You do not have a distance between the speaker and the audience. Now, if it is a physical setup, you would have a distance of, say, at least 10 to 15 meters between the speaker and the audience. It does not happen now. So facial expressions have now gained a lot of importance. So it would be a good learning process to look at each of these facial expressions, to try them out and to see whether you can come anywhere close to it. Now, all of you are very fond of taking selfies, aren't you? Instead of taking selfies, once in a while, sit in front of the mirror, try out facial expressions, see whether you come out in an authentic manner, or take your pictures, send it to your friends and ask whether they are able to decipher your facial expressions. They go a long way. Now, let me move on from visual to vocal, from 55% to 38%. Now, again, it is Noah Zanden who says that even just 10% increase in our vocal variety will have a significant impact, highly significant impact. That is why, do we practice to have variations, or are we monotonous? Now, even as I'm asking you that question, perhaps some of you may think, isn't she herself monotonous? Long back, I was told by one of my listeners that I was monotonous in my presentation. And to this day, I've not been able to get out of it completely. Even last week, another friend of mine, while giving me a feedback on my leadership qualities and as a communicator, she told me that I need to have greater vocal variety. So it's not at all easy. We think, okay, vocal variety, I know how to take my voice high, I know how to bring it down. No, it's not easy at all. and even 10% increase improvement will have a significant impact. So let's see the 4 P's of vocal variety: pace, pitch, power, pause. Pace is the rate, the speed with which you talk. Pitch is high pitch, low pitch, power. Now, when you say power, it doesn't mean whether it is having a mic or without having a mic. You may say that the mic will give us volume. No, but power doesn't mean volume alone. Power always, it also means impactful words, words which can be intensified because of the kind of power you give to those words. Now, pause is very important. Perhaps I would put pause as the most important of 4 P's, because when our pauses are not right, the whole meaning can get distorted. That is why I have focused on this pause, leaving out the first 3 P's because I do not have the time probably for that. So I would like to draw your attention to Lintras, the one who came up with zero tolerance approach to punctuation. Now you see, zero tolerance approach, because Lintras showed that when your punctuations are wrong, the whole meaning can be lost. Now, just as you have commas in the written language, you have pauses in the spoken language, right? That is why pause when we speak is as important as the comma that we put when we write. Now come to the bottom part of the screen where you have 2 examples, and you see how just because of the change in the placement of the comma, the whole meaning gets changed. In the first sentence, you have no comma at all. A panda eats shoots and leaves. So you're talking about panda having shoots as its food. So a panda eats shoots and leaves. Done. Now in the second sentence, now in the first sentence, you see, grammatically speaking, we would take it as a compound sentence because there are actually 2 sentences. A panda eats shoots, a panda leaves. So it becomes a compound sentence. Now in the next sentence, because there is a comma after eats, a panda eats, shoots, and leaves. Now here, it is 1 sentence only, and you see, the whole meaning is changed. A panda eats whatever, shoots after eating, and after having shot, leaves. So the whole meaning is different. Now let me again pose a small quiz for you to understand. I'm not going to, it is self-explanatory, it is there. So look at the sentences and see how the meaning changes. Let's eat, grandma. In the first sentence, grandma is the salutation. You're asking your grandma whether you can eat. Let's eat, grandma. But in the next, it is as though you want to eat, grandma. Let's eat, grandma. Right? Now, the next is even more dangerous. As I was undressing, Mary, my wife, walked into the bedroom. But look at the change in the meaning. As I was undressing Mary, my wife walked into the bedroom. The whole meaning is changed. Now here's a small quiz for you. If you use 1 comma in 2 different places, the same sentence will have diametrically opposite meanings. Let me repeat myself. If you place 1 single comma in 2 different places in the sentence, the same sentence will have diametrically opposite meanings. So give it a try. I'll give you a few seconds to do that. Although I don't expect you to put it on the chat box, I'll give you a few seconds to do that. Some of you would have come up with the answer, I'm sure. Nevertheless, let me show the answer. You see, Spare him, not hang him. So you're asking the person not to be hanged. Spare him, not hang him. You want the person not to be hanged. But you see, when the comma gets shifted to the third word, spare him not, hang him. So the person is to be hanged. Spare him not, hang him. You see how? Diametrically opposite meanings just by shifting the comma. So even when we speak, when we shift the pause from one place to another, the whole meaning can change. And sometimes when the pause is not called for, it can lead to all kinds of misinterpretations. I remember compare, I can't say compare because it wasn't a program, an MC of a program had to thank one of the speakers who happened to be a nun. And after the speech of the nun, this MC went to the podium and then she said, I thank sister who has delivered. After delivered a long pause. Now I could make out what was going on in the mind of the MC. She did not want to use a cliche. She wanted to come up with something nice. She probably didn't want to say a memorable lecture, inspirational lecture or motivational lecture, because those are the usual phrases that we use. So she was trying to get something unique, but then she had a long pause after that delivered. And everybody among the audience started feeling uneasy, and there was a little bit of whispering, and she lost out on the attention of the audience. So pauses will have to be taken care of. Now, let me also come to the last part of the 3 V's, that is verbal. I've already told you, although we say that the impact factor is only up to the extent of 7%, your text itself will have to be a meaningful text, a logical text. So it's not that you can take anything that you put down for granted. So I'm going to deal with 4 aspects: vocabulary, grammar, usage, and pronunciation. Now, not in great detail, but just to give you an idea of how difficult, how complex each of these areas is. And very often we are not even aware that these difficulties exist. And we think that we have done complete justice to whatever we had to put down. Now, the first is what we call a malapropism. Now, I've given you the meaning there. Malapropism is using a wrong word. Malapropism, the use of an incorrect word in place of a word with a similar sound. That is why we end up making a mistake. Of course, the picture is of Mrs. Malaprop from Sheridan's play, and she was known for all her wrong words. And I remember one example from the play. After her daughter's delivery, her daughter goes hysterical because of the hormonal changes in the body. And while talking about it, Mrs. Malaprop says, "Oh, my daughter has gone historical," she says, instead of hysterical. So that is malapropism. Now, of course, Sheridan comes up with a fine example of malapropism in his play, but in our life, we have funnier examples. I remember going to my cousin's place, and he took us around his coconut garden. And when we came across his newly built water tank, he pointed at the water tank, and he pointed at the water in the water tank, and he said, "See, how pure, how clean, terrible." You see, facial expression, gesture, everything positive, but the word terrible. Now, what have I said about malapropism? In place of a word with a similar sound. So he actually wanted to say terrific, but he ended up saying terrible. Now, can we understand why he made that mistake? fully. We can empathize with him because English is, after all, a funny language. Now you see there is another pair, horrible and horrific. When it comes to horrible and horrific, though they are not synonymous, both are negative in their implication. Horrible, disgusting, horrific, invoking horror, or evoking. I won't say invoking, evoking horror. But when it comes to terrible and terrific, terrible is negative, terrific is positive. So you see, he had every reason to make that mistake, and poor man, he made that mistake when his facial expression, gesture, everything was positive, but the word was negative. So the verbal aspect does have its importance. Now, these are the common mistakes that we make when it comes to malapropism. Many of us use improvise in the place of improve. And when we want to sound stylish, we say, I'll try and improvise instead of saying I'll try and improve. But it is improvise is an entirely different word. It is not improve. Improvise is to make do with whatever you are able to have. And improve is to make it better. So they are not two words which are synonymous. Incidents is the plural of incident. Incidence, as I have shown in the next example, incidence of malaria. And when it is widespread, we say prevalence. Hearing is unconscious. Listening is conscious. Kindly attend the program. Hornby's dictionary tells you very clearly, kindly is not so kindly. There is a tinge of sarcasm when you say kindly attend the program. Instead, please attend the program. There are 26 alphabets in English. Alphabet is Aksharamale. So 26 letters in English, not 26 alphabets, because alphabet is the Aksharamale. He's the very paramour of virtue. Paramour is an illicit lover. He is the paragon, the very example, fine example of virtue. The river has flown here for ages. Fly, flew, flown, but flow, flowed. So if you say the river has flown here for ages, it is as though the river is flying in the air. All examples of malapropism. Now, we Indians are terribly guilty of redundancy. Redundancy seems to be a part of our daily vocabulary. I've given you a few examples. I have a session today evening at 6 p.m. at NITK. Now, when you say PM, it is evening. So why do we need to say evening at 6 p.m.? Redundant. Redundant or superfluity is actually using unnecessary words. I humbly request you to attend the session. When you say I request, you are humble. You don't need to again show that you are very humble by saying I humbly request you. I returned back. Return is to come back. So if you say I returned back, I came back from Chennai yesterday. I have a bad headache. Is there any masochist amidst us who enjoys a headache? A headache, I shouldn't say a headache actually. Headache is enough. Now headache is bad, isn't it? We can say severe headache. We needn't say bad headache. Redundancy of another kind. Can you please repeat again? Repeat is to say again. So if you say, can you please repeat again? It is, can you please say again? All these are examples of redundancy, the verbal aspect of your 3 V's. If all of us cooperate together, redundant, if all of us cooperate. It was the general consensus of opinion. Consensus is of opinion. What else is it? I'm enclosing herewith. Where else do you? I'm enclosing my biodata. Perhaps he may be right. May, perhaps, don't go together. Perhaps he's right, because may also has the tinge of doubt in it. Supposing if you go there. Supposing is synonymous with if. So are we saying if you go there? So avoid all these redundant expressions. Now, only when you grow conscious that these are the areas of difficulty, you will start trying to make your text precise, the verbal aspect of it. You see, that is why I have said Hemingway rewrote the ending 38 times. And Ezra Pound brought down the whole poem, 30 lines to 14 words. And those 14 words were the apparitions of these faces in the crowd or petals on a wet black bow. So precision. Now syntax is how you place your words, your adverbs, your adjectives, how you place them. Now look at this example. Shekhar told Meena that he wanted to marry her often. Does it mean to say that Shekhar wants to marry Meena 3 times, 4 times, 5 times? So what is the problem? Syntax. Shekhar often told Meena. So one small placement error. Now there it was an error because logically nobody can say that I want to marry you again and again and again. But here it's not an error, but this example is to show how the meaning changes when you change the placement of the word. The child ate only the cereal for breakfast, nothing else, but only the cereal. Only the child, nobody else, but only the child. The child ate the cereal for breakfast only, not for lunch or dinner. The child only ate the cereal for breakfast, did not indulge in any other activity or did not drink or anything, only ate, did not run around. So you see, the difference in the placement of a single word leads to so many different meanings. Now here is one more less known areas of grammar where we call misplaced modifier. Sometimes it can be dangling modifier. Okay. Now flying around the garden, he saw an eagle. Now, if you write flying around the garden, he saw an eagle, it is as though he is flying around the garden, right? So if you have to have the proper syntactical positioning, you must say, he saw an eagle flying around the garden. Now, all these examples are only to show that your text has to be tight, precise, grammatically right, if your verbal aspect has to have its own significance. Now, this again is to show how syntactical errors can happen. Don't kill her with overwork. Let an electric iron do it. That pronoun it, what does it refer to? It can mean that let the electric iron do the killing. At the age of 14, his father took him to Allahabad. So at the age of 14, was his father 14 when he took his son to Allahabad? Answering all the questions correctly, the interviewer selected him for the job. Who answered the questions correctly? Was it the interviewer or the person? Finally, I come to what we call mother tongue influence. Now, when we speak in English, we must start thinking in English. But if we think in Kannada or any other regional language, I am not saying anything against the regional language. Regional language we should be proud of. And whenever we get the chance to speak in our regional language, in our mother tongue, vernacular language, we must try and do that. But if we have chosen English as the medium of expression, our thinking itself should start in English. Otherwise, when we try to translate, then the whole meaning is lost. Let me go back, give you one example. Mother tongue influenza I have written because it's very difficult. It's widespread and it's very difficult to get out of it. I remember one example. I'd been to a shop here in Mangalore, and there was a lady who was making her selection of some material. By then another lady entered the shop. This lady looked at that lady and she said, "Oh, why you look so separate?" she said. A typical example of mother tongue influence. Why you look so separate? Because in Kannada we say Bere Kanti. So Bere Kanti translated into English became why you look so separate. So you see, we must start thinking in English if we are speaking in English. But my focus would always be on speaking a language, whether it is a regional language or English, with the kind of perfection that we can try and have. Now here, this is none of the areas that I've already spoken about. This is a new area. I have not given you the word, but the word is, now when you look at these sentences, you may wonder, what is the problem with these sentences? We keep talking like this. Exactly. That is the problem, that we keep talking like this without realizing that these expressions are now considered cliches. Now, you see, first time when someone said, last but not the least, it would have sounded fabulous. Last but not the least. But we have used it so many times now. Now, when we say last but not the least, it's a cliche. Now, despite her or his busy schedule, instead of that, can we say, despite her various multifarious commitments, can we tweak it a little bit and make it sound better? Finally, when it comes to pronunciation, this is the last part because articulation is actually on pronunciation. But as I said, my focus was on an articulate speaker. Now, if I give you this word and if I ask you to pronounce this word, how would you pronounce this word? Try it out, dear students. How would you pronounce this word? And do you recognize this word? I don't. Now, maybe some of you have already started pronouncing it on your own. Some of you might have said goatee, gutty, or some of you might have thought of it as hottie. Whatever it is, let me tell you, it actually stands for fish. Now, if you take GH of enough, f, and if you take women, O of women as I, and if you take TI of nation, sh, then you see goatee would become GH of enough, O of women, TI of nation. Goatee would actually be a fish. Now, this is to show how difficult and how strange the pronunciation aspect of our English language is. And that is why I don't mean to say that this is everything. Many of us think of somebody who pronounces it in a stylish manner as, as somebody who speaks Queen's English. Pronunciation is one of the small aspects of a language, any language. We needn't overdo that, but we can try and learn. And for you, now it is so easy. One click of the mouse will give you the correct pronunciation. In our days, we had to really try and learn it, Daniel Jones. And you see, these are some of the words which are pronounced differently. Awry, not awry, awry. Gigantic, not gigantic, gigantic. G sound. Debris, S is silent. Facade. Key, can you believe it? It's not quay, it's key. Onion, not onion. Yacht, not yat. Zealous, zeal, but zealous. Elite or elite. Not jeopardy, but jeopardy. Chasm, not chasm. Niche, niche. These are some of the words. If you have any question, I'll be happy to answer those questions. I think I still have a couple of minutes. So if students want any clarification, I'll be happy to do that. I'll stop sharing my screen now.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, we are getting now few of the live chats. The session was such a wonderful session. It was a super presentation, ma'am. It was absolutely fantastic. We are getting comments like that. I'm just hanging on where I can get some questions here.
I listened to your previous speaker for a while when you were speaking about financial management and making investment. So I would like to tell my dear students what Webster, the lexicographer, once said. Now, Webster, the lexicographer, the one who wrote Webster's dictionary, once said, if all my wealth were to be taken away from me, and if I were to be left with only the gift of the gab, I would be happy with it, because with that, I would earn all my wealth back, he said. So you see, the best investment students can make when they are students is to see that they learn how to articulate well, how to speak well, how to impress an audience. Because as students, very often we do not make use of the opportunities that come our way. So, my piece of advice for my dear students would be that seize the opportunity that you get.
Definitely, definitely, ma'am. Point taken. For the students, dear students, well said. Art of articulation is one of the important skills that you should imbibe. Ma'am, they have all mailed, all putting the chats here, congratulating you, thanking you for the wonderful session. And they're all, it was, some of them said it was so innovative. We learned a lot. The
Thank you.
other student said it's quite a things, we should unlearn and relearn in many ways. The way we pronounce, the way we eh, articulate certain things is very important. Ma'am, it was such a wonderful session for us also, to me also. I learned a lot today from your
That's,
presentation.
that's
Yeah, it
your
was really
point.
fantastic.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Fantastic, ma'am. Thank you very much for
Thank,
joining from Mangalore, and in your busy schedule, you have given us this session. So, on behalf of St. Philomena's College and on behalf of the IQAC, I thank you very much for giving this such a wonderful session. Thank you, ma'am.
thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Yeah.
Thank you.
So
So,
I'm sure students will be happy with me that I've given them a longer break. So
not, yeah,
one of the secrets of being liked by others is to stop when there is still time to stop. So I've stopped slightly earlier than the scheduled time. So I'm sure my students are happy with me. Thank you very much. It was a great
thank
pleasure being
you.
with all of you. Hope to meet students in person sometime in the future when things normalize and we are able to say shake hands instead of just saying namaste on the virtual platform. For the time being, namaste. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. We are also keeping this complete recording of the session, and for posterity, we will be putting that in our college website so that our students can access at any time and relearn some of the presentation which you just gave us. So it was such a wonderful. Thank you very much again, ma'am. So
Thank you.
looking forward to more such occasions where we can meet. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, dear students. With this important session, we have come to the end of day 6th online sessions on soft skills and holistic development. And we'll be entering the last day, that is day 7th of the session tomorrow. Tomorrow, we have important sessions on stress management and personality development. Dear students, at the same time, please note that tomorrow we will be giving you the feedback form link. You can just give your feedback on the days of the 7 days of week long online sessions, how it went on, and how useful it was, all the sessions for you. So we will be circulating that on day 7. So till then, wish you all a good day and see you tomorrow morning at sharp 10 o'clock. Thank you. Bye.